Yo, it's ODB, our lifestyle podcast, and this is Mini Truckin Magazine Flip Through, issue 74, February 98, and it's a damn good one. Here's a couple of fun facts. It was Wes Allison who shot it. It was his 9th cover, credited cover, from a photo shoot standpoint. Cindy Pucci, maybe is how you say her name. I had a friend with his last name, Mucci. Same spelling, but hers is Pucci. She is the model. Weld wheels. This is the 5th of their 5 covers. Believe it or not, Weld only graced or were only on the cover 5 times for the cover vehicles. This is 5 of 5, believe it or not. And I want to thank Jim from Mini Madness. I got a chance to see him a few weeks back. This is part of the collection that I inherited from him. And this one does have a label on it, so I want to give him a huge shout out. So let's jump right in. I believe off the top of my head, this is the only Geo Tracker that was on the cover. I forgot to look at that in my notes, but I want to say that it was. It's a damn good issue. You know, we talk about kind of the heyday of Mini Truckin Magazine, 9.6, 9.7, 9.8. You guys, if you've seen all of these, you know that, even 9.4, 9.5. I mean, some of these years are just really iconic, whether it be the covers, the show coverage, or just the feature vehicles. You can see here, Endless Summer 9.7, ID Drag Wars, Slam-A-Thon, and whatnot, and some killer feature vehicles. On the left, you got the Stinger ad, so kind of a cool ad there, something a little bit different than we've seen. New year, so potentially new ads. Here you have Shartsis, don't get ripped off. And just kind of talking about different things with alarms and stereo. It would be good to mention to the readers, be careful on Instagram. Haven't done a lot of public service announcements, but there's a lot of people that scam other people by pretending to have merchandise. I know it's happening in the parts world too, with Lincolns, with lowrider guys. People saying, hey, I could ship your parts tomorrow, send me the 500. And when you do like Friends and Family or some of these other apps where there's no recourse, you just lose your money. So be conscious of that. Here's Mar Import Showoff. So we did see in some of the recent issues, I did take a little break, which really wasn't intentional. It's just I end up, time ends up flying. I did take a little break from some of these issues, but you'll recall just recently kind of going through some of those import shows and whatnot. This was really badass truck. Always liked that one. But yeah, just trying to get back in the groove. I've also went through some of the Truckin features as well as street trucks. So please, if you can, subscribe. And if you do have requests, let me know. Like if your truck, one of the homies had reached out just a little while ago with a comment and said, hey, when are you going to get to 04 street trucks? I'd love to see my truck talked about on the channel. I really appreciate that. I'd be happy to, if I can. Truckins are a little bit tougher to dig out, but I do have all the way through 06 street trucks ready to rock and roll. And I do want to give a huge shout out to the homie I'll give him a shout out in the future on the channel. Up in Canada, he helped me with May 2001 street trucks. It's the only fold-out cover, I believe. And for some reason, mine got misplaced 20 years ago, and I've never been able to get another copy. So I got a guy sending me one, so thank you. As green as it gets, warning, this Toyota Tacoma causes envy. Dude, super clean. Love this feature. Front 3/4 shot. You got the rear 3/4 shot in. And then you have just, the bushes in the back, kind of giving it a nice little contrast there with the green paint. You can see here the chop shop. Got to get Gendro on. I know some of the homies been waiting. He's super busy. I need to hit him up and see if we can record when it meets and fits his schedule. Man, these trucks in this era, dude, just love it. And especially with the rag top, a little bit of tweed. And those dashes, just big fan of those. Real clean cut truck. And this was 96 Geo Tracker Isabella, it looks like. Got the NC logo. A lot of NC trucks on the cover and featured over the years. Here's kind of the tie-in to what Shartsis was talking about. I have a 700, I think it's 700R Viper. Very similar, probably the same key fobs as those. Still have it and really want to install that on my Mazda. I talked to a guy, Chris, at Randy's Labor Day deal, and he's out in Orlando, and he said he could install it for me. So I'm gonna go that route potentially. Talked to a couple other guys as well, so we'll see what ends up happening. Again, you see a lot of black and white pages. It's kind of hard to imagine we're still black and white at this point, but we are. We'll talk about once we go full color. And check out the prices. I was always a fan. This wheel reminds me of what was on Crew Cut, very similar style. Not Crew Cut when it was West Side. But a lot of these different wheel styles are kind of etched in our minds. Those Boyd Lotus wheels, those pop up here and there. The Boyd Agitator, a lot of tie-ins from different wheel companies. And when we had Bill Hancock on and we talked to Bill at Wheel History, man, it was just awesome because it's crazy how all of these guys tie back to Boyd, whether they work there or, they've kind of spun off from there. But just a real good issue here. Again, we're looking at February 98. This is some of my favorite show coverage of all time. Endless Summer and some of these West Coast runs. You see one of the famous Ford Rangers that was on the cover. It looks like Ruben's truck here. Ruben Arteaga, I believe, with the firewall stripe there. It looks like that's what it was. You see Clint Walker did the write-up, and then Tom Lutz and Clint Walker did the photography. I did talk to Jeff and Devious when I was out there recently. I did a shop tour. If you haven't had a chance, look at their playlist here. I think you can click on one of our approved playlists, and I've got a link because it's over on Lincoln Addict. But Jeff was good friends with Clint Walker and did a couple builds with him over the years, and chatted with him about Clint because, of course, Clint worked for the magazine. He also helped write under that Wyatt Strange as well, with rest in peace Courtney Halliwell. This thing is crazy if you think about how long it is. Mazda, talking about crew cabs on the rise. Crew cab and then some. I always remember this orange truck on center lines. It had that, I don't know if they were full fiberglass beds. We kind of saw one on the table of contents, but for whatever reason, I always liked it with the shaved body line. Something a little bit different. Here's something a little bit different. The guy putting the wheel up there, that famous wheel, which was the same wheel that was on Cope's van, I think. Then you got a real clean, kind of like what mine was, a base model dime. I had the front license plate deal on it too, and black bumpers and all that, but low and definitely badass. And you can see there how some of the river runs were back in the day. Seductive up on stage there, and all the cars parked around there, some with some palm trees. But these are some of my favorite, show coverage events, if you will, because, you just had the water. You had people, young kinfolk out there just having a good time. And, so many people have commented here and on social media saying over the time that is, some of the best times of their lives, or at least the early parts of their lives, going to these shows and just doing the damn thing, having a good time. Here it looks like an S10 install that they're doing. I can kind of tell from the dash there. And I remember Courtney did, this one was Clint, but Courtney did some of these as well. And you could see the alarm. That's where the little deal used to end up getting placed, it seemed like, on a lot of installs. Again, leave a comment here if you can. We appreciate the support. Here is the cover. So Cal Mini, that was on the license plate, you'll see up here. And this is a 97 Geo Tracker. Ironically enough, there was an NC one that was making its rounds in a couple of the Facebook groups. And I saved the photo and I was going to post it. Dustin Haven may have posted it. And I always remember on the old NC website, there was that I think it was an NC one, the light blue, kind of like a baby blue color with graphics. These things are definitely underrated. Might not be your favorite Mini of all time, but to me, man, it brings me back to the 90s. Some of the marketing campaigns they had for these things. And this one was, again, one of the cleanest. There's still a couple of rounds. Shout out to Scotty the Body. His wife has one. And they're freaking awesome. Back in the day, living life topless. some kick panels, and then you can check out here with the top off, and then with the sliding rag or whatever it was. Just, you know, perfect for cruising the beach, hanging out with friends, hitting the river runs. It's kind of cool, too, to look back at old car stereo. I got a chance to meet up with my old neighbor yesterday. I really looked up to him as a young buck, and he's about 3 years older, and still remember riding around. His parents had given him this big old, like, Ford Econoline van, and we cruised on... he had this huge yard, and we just ride around. He had a pull-out Alpine in there, and we'd put in third base cassettes and just ride and just drive around thinking we were the shit. And even though we weren't, we were having fun. And I can still remember those days. Check it out. Pretty clean. But, yeah, I got a chance to talk with him. He's like, yeah, I still got a CD changer. And I said, yeah, man, that stuff, go on eBay, take a look. So here's one of Hank's favorite trucks from Hammered Weekend Wear, rated XXX, no parental guidance. Suggested. This was XXX Minis up in British Columbia. You can kind of tell right away from the front license plate, BC, British Columbia, 92 B2200. A lot of these trucks have been featured over the years, and whether it be from the Pacific Northwest or even Canada, I mean, there's a tough competition up in those areas, you know, and you could argue anywhere. I mean, definitely, but definitely a lot have come from Canada. So shout out to all of our kinfolk from Canada. Here you got the Miami Super Show, January 18th, 1998. And again, that's how we're able to nail down some of the dates on shows. And I don't post a lot of lowrider stuff, but, you know, an ad like that certainly helps. Tracking the changes, so from stock to show on a budget. And, you know, this was key product placement to be able to go and, you know, for some of these shops to build and get featured and, you know, say, hey, look, you know, we can get you some advertising. And that's what they're doing here, of course. Cow Mini is also on the front there. And if we take a look over here, kind of gives us some of the insight to it. The Tracker's first stop was Bad Boy's body. And some of the details. Some Weld arrowhead wheels. Here's more tech articles. Or tech write-up on it. I swear this thing ends up getting a shaved fender, doesn't it? I know it does. I keep talking about that. But we'll see when we get there. Here, some pretty nice riding around. So you got the Tracker lifted Mazda. Didn't show a lot of lifted stuff kind of in these, but there's one. Here's a D50, aka Mitsubishi Mighty Max. Super clean Mazda. Check that thing out. Dude, that's top one mic right there. Here's a Nissan hardbody. So a good mix here in this one. And that would be key because they didn't want to show, you know, just one OEM type. They want to kind of cater to everyone. How crazy is it that these the magazine is still as strong as it is, even with it gone? Many of us say we definitely miss it, but I tell you, even truck magazines today, I see them just sitting on the shelves, and I know we all kind of say, hey, we support them and whatnot, but with all of us spending so much time on our phones, whether it be on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it's crazy that magazines are still around, but hopefully they'll stay around. This is pretty cool. So X Generation and or Generation X, and pretty cool here. Something a little bit different. You got the fender trim. You don't see a lot of that on the GMC Sonomas or S10s. You got the jet skis. Of course, with it being extended cab, you got a crazy nice stereo, the front mini Truckin plate, and kind of a stock interior, but definitely something a little bit different. Got the step side bed with the step side or the bumper in the back there. Pretty cool feature though. Again, I think this was key. You know, they want to keep up with the trends and things like that. Some old school car audio by today's standards, but was the creme de la creme at the time. If you can't plow, then bow. So boom. Here you got the old school stuff. If you get a chance, check out our website. We reproduce the original Mini Truckin Magazine shirts. They're available. They have the OG logo. And we had Alan Paradise on recently. who commissioned that logo that started on issue 2 of Mini Truckin magazine. So kind of blessed by the OGs, if you will. So you can kind of see here, some of you guys will probably know this truck. And this became a big thing in that era. This was Crazy Customs, which was Sean Dell and team, if I remember correctly, right? And pretty certain that was Sean's shop. And yeah, definitely became a huge thing with the Lexian rear windows. Mini Truckin Diary with Wyatt Strange. Again, these are in 4K, so you can pause them if you need to and screenshot and whatnot. So, moving ahead, I am going to try to plow through a few of these issues this week, I hope, and get these uploaded. If you can, watch them all the way through. If you're still with us, thank you. It really helps us. I'm just trying to kind of get to that monetization point, only because, you know, you do this stuff for fun, but it would be great. Of course, YouTube's making all the money with, you know, if you're not monetizing any of the ads, they get all that money. So it's like, why not, even if it's a few pennies a month? Here you got lower level, so we saw this truck in the table of contents. That's that bed that I was talking about that was also on that orange truck. I don't know how many guys ended up buying those. There were a few. That orange one is the one that comes to mind for me. But may not be your favorite thing, but I always thought it was a little bit different. The orange one just kind of hit a little bit different to me. So here you go, Ford Ranger. A lot of these trucks were built over the years, super clean. And I was looking, this one was photoed by Mike Slade. And Fantasy of Flight is out in Lakeland, so I was doing a double take looking at it, because I figured maybe Joe Greaves had shot that one. Kind of old school for you youngins. The magazines used to always have ads like this. I think they kind of do, they still do, but you know, it's kind of funny if you look at some of these ads. The magazines, they didn't really care. I mean, it was like, hey, you want to pay us to advertise? We will advertise what you got. So mostly car stuff, but depending on the different old school magazines you look at, you never know what you're going to see in the ads. That's for sure. Mini Laughter, so top 5 signs you don't trust your current truck security system. Kind of ties into the security stuff that they were pushing in this issue. And now that I'm thinking about it, this week, Clerks came out, Clerks 3 on digital. If you like Clerks, you'll recall they did mention Mini Truckin or Mini Trucker magazine. Clerks 3 is awesome. I give it 2 thumbs up. This will always trip me out. The haircut deal. I swear there was a guy too that got a tattoo like that. I want to say I remember that. That just popped in my head. Then you got Ryan with West Coast Customs, was kind of coming up at that era. He just posted a mini truck the other day, a Mazda that he's been working on. Got to get Ryan on. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. Here you go, the new Ford Ranger. Talks about 18s and 19s, Colorado custom wheels, Gaylords, and yeah, good stuff. And then you've got the Rev Into the Future with Vitek. I remember that company. Forget if I had their products. A little bit different of an SPL 170 ad in the back from Soundstream. So kind of cool. They switched it up again. Soundstream was a huge contributor to Mini Truckin magazine from a standpoint of advertising. We've seen that. You guys have seen that on the back of these issues. But again, February 98, issue 74, Wes Allison's 9th cover. We'll talk more about him in the future. Cindy, looking great on the cover. Cal Minis across the front, although I don't believe that was the club name, if I remember correctly. Kind of could have dove into that a little bit more, but didn't in this issue. And then Weld wheels, again, this is 5 of 5 covers based upon my intel and looking through every issue. Pretty cool to see Weld out there. You see Alpine and some of the tie-ins there that Mike Shartsis was talking about. Stay on the rise and leave a comment, subscribe, and let's keep on mini trucking. We got ya. Peace.